The sleek, crystalline ship of the Galactic Confederation hung in orbit around the blue-green world, its occupants gazing down with a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. Ambassador Zixtal, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin, stood at the helm, their four eyes blinking in rapid succession as they processed the data streaming in from the planet below. "Remarkable," Zixtal murmured, their melodic voice tinged with wonder. A species on the brink of interstellar travel, yet they've managed to unify their entire world. No ongoing conflicts, no territorial disputes. How unusual. The science officer, a squat, tentacled creature named Gloop, burbled in agreement. "Indeed, Ambassador, our preliminary scans show a global government, shared resources, and a focus on scientific advancement. It's almost too good to be true." Zixtal nodded, their crest rippling with excitement. "Well, let's not keep our new friends waiting. Initiate first contact protocols." As the Confederation ship descended through the atmosphere, the humans below watched in awe. In every major city, crowds gathered, their faces turned skyward, a mix of fear and hope etched on their features. The ship touched down in a specially prepared landing zone outside the United Earth Government headquarters. A delegation of human leaders, scientists, and diplomats stood ready to greet their cosmic visitors. As the ship's ramp lowered, Zixtal emerged, flanked by a diverse array of alien species representing the Galactic Confederation. The human delegation, led by President Elena Rodriguez, stepped forward. "On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to Earth," President Rodriguez said, her voice steady despite the momentous occasion. "We come in peace and friendship, eager to join the galactic community." Zixtal's translator processed the words, and they responded in kind. "Greetings, people of Earth. The Galactic Confederation extends its hand in peace and cooperation. Your achievements have not gone unnoticed, and we are pleased to welcome you to the stars." Over the next few weeks, humans and aliens engaged in a flurry of cultural exchanges, scientific discussions, and diplomatic negotiations. The Confederation representatives were consistently impressed by humanity's eagerness to learn, their adaptability, and their commitment to peaceful resolutions. During a private meeting with President Rodriguez, Zixtal couldn't contain their admiration. "Your species is truly remarkable, Madam President. In our experience, most races at your stage of development are still embroiled in internal conflicts or harbor expansionist ambitions. Yet here you are, united and focused on progress." Rodriguez smiled, a flicker of something unreadable passing behind her eyes. "We've learned from our history, Ambassador. Humanity has seen the cost of war, and we've chosen a different path." As the first contact period drew to a close, the Galactic Confederation made its official assessment. Humanity was classified as a Category 1 species on the Aggression Index, marking them as one of the most peaceful races encountered in recent memory. Zixtal delivered the news to the United Earth Government with great enthusiasm. "This classification opens many doors for your species. You'll have access to our most advanced technologies, prime trading routes, and a fast track to full Confederation membership." The human leaders accepted this news with gracious smiles and warm handshakes. As the Confederation representatives prepared to depart, promises of ongoing cooperation and cultural exchange were made on both sides. Back on their ship, Zixtal couldn't help but feel a sense of optimism about the galaxy's future. "To think," they mused to Gloop, "we may be witnessing the dawn of a new era of galactic peace. If more species could follow humanity's example, imagine what we could achieve." Gloop agreed enthusiastically, its tentacles waving in excitement. "It's unprecedented. A species with their level of technology choosing diplomacy over aggression. The Confederation will be studying them for decades to come." As the ship broke orbit, the beings aboard looked down at the peaceful blue world one last time. None of them could have imagined the true nature of the species they were leaving behind, or the role humanity would play in the turbulent years to come. On the surface, in a hidden bunker deep beneath the United Earth Government headquarters, President Rodriguez stood before a group of grim-faced military leaders. "They bought it," she said, her earlier diplomatic smile replaced by a look of steely determination. "Operation Sleeping Giant is now in effect. May the stars help us all if we ever need to wake it." As years passed, humanity's integration into the Galactic Confederation progressed smoothly. Earth became a bustling hub of interstellar commerce and cultural exchange, with alien visitors marveling at the planet's natural beauty and the hospitality of its inhabitants. Human diplomats spread throughout the galaxy, their reputation for level-headedness and conflict resolution preceding them. On the Confederation capital world of Nexus Prime, Ambassador Sarah Chen sat across from Zixtal, now the High Counselor of Diplomatic Affairs. They were discussing the latest crisis, a territorial dispute between the militant Croacs and the resource-rich Voltar system. "The situation is dire," Zixtal said, their crests drooping with worry. "The Croacs are demanding mining rights on Voltar Prime, threatening invasion if their terms aren't met. We fear bloodshed is imminent." Sarah nodded, her expression calm. "I understand, High Counselor. If you'll allow it, I believe I can help mediate this conflict." Zixtal's eyes lit up with hope. "Of course, Ambassador Chen. Your species' talent for peaceful resolution is exactly what we need." Within days, Sarah found herself on Voltar Prime, seated between the hulking, armor-clad Croax general and the willowy Voltarian elder. The tension in the room was palpable, but Sarah's serene demeanor never wavered. After hours of intense negotiation, a compromise was reached. The Croacs would receive limited mining rights on Voltar's uninhabited moon, while the Voltarians would retain full sovereignty over their homeworld. Both parties left the table satisfied, crisis averted. News of the successful mediation spread quickly through Confederation space. Once again, humanity had proven its commitment to peace and diplomacy. What the Confederation didn't see, however, was the encrypted message Sarah sent to Earth immediately after the negotiations. Operation Trojan Horse progressing as planned. Galactic map updated with Croax and Voltar military capabilities. Continuing to gather intel on potential threats and resources. Back on Earth, in the same hidden bunker where Operation Sleeping Giant had been initiated, General Marcus Blackwood reviewed the incoming data with a grim smile. "Well done, Ambassador," he murmured to himself. "Keep them thinking we're the galaxy's peacemakers. It's our best defense. And our best weapon." As humanity's influence grew, so did the misconceptions about their nature. The Confederation, impressed by humans' ability to broker peace and their apparent lack of military ambition, began to rely heavily on them for diplomatic missions and conflict resolution. Human-operated trade routes flourished. Their ships granted access to systems usually wary of outsiders. Scientific exchanges allowed Earth to absorb and adapt alien technologies at an astonishing rate, all under the guise of peaceful development. 5 years after first contact, the Galactic Confederation made an unprecedented move. They invited Earth to join the High Council, the governing body that steered the course of galactic politics. It was an honor usually reserved for species with centuries of Confederation membership. The announcement was met with jubilation on Earth, carefully orchestrated public celebrations masking the calculated machinations beneath. In the hidden war rooms of the United Earth Government, strategists saw this as the ultimate opportunity to secure humanity's position in the galaxy. President Rodriguez stood before the Global Security Council, her expression stern. "This is our chance to ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of our species," she declared. "From our seat on the High Council, we'll have access to the Confederation's most closely guarded secrets, their strengths and their weaknesses." General Blackwood nodded in agreement. "Our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual activity beyond the Confederation's borders. Something's coming, and we need to be prepared." As the Council murmured their assent, Rodriguez continued, "We'll accept the Confederation's offer with gratitude and humility. We'll continue to be their peacekeepers, their mediators, their trusted friends. But make no mistake, we're not doing this for them. We're doing this for humanity. The meeting adjourned, its participants dispersing to put the next phases of their plan into motion. As they left, none of them noticed the small, spider-like drone clinging to the ceiling, its red light blinking as it transmitted an encrypted signal to a ship hidden in the dark expanse of the Orc cloud. Aboard that ship, a being of shadow and smoke watched the proceedings with cold, calculating eyes. "How interesting," it hissed, its voice like grinding glass. "The humans are not what they seem. Perhaps they'll be worthy opponents after all." As the ship silently turned and accelerated towards deep space, the first tremors of a coming storm began to ripple through the galaxy. The age of peace was drawing to a close, and humanity's true nature would soon be put to the test. The Galactic Confederation had known peace for centuries, but that era was about to come to a brutal end. It began with whispers from the outer systems, colonies going dark, supply ships vanishing without a trace. At first, the High Council dismissed these reports as exaggerations or the work of pirates. But as the silence spread, consuming entire sectors, the truth became impossible to ignore. On Nexus Prime, the Confederation capital, alarms blared through the grand halls of the High Council chamber. Zixtal, now Supreme Counselor, stood before a holographic display of the galaxy, watching in horror as entire star systems blinked out one by one. "It's them," wheezed Gloop, now Chief of Confederation Intelligence. "The Void Reapers. They're no longer a myth." Sarah Chen, Earth's representative on the High Council, leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "What exactly are we dealing with, Gloop?" The tentacled alien shuddered. "A species of conquerors, consumers of worlds. Our ancestors drove them to the fringes of the galaxy eons ago, but it seems they've returned, stronger than ever." As if on cue, the chamber's main screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that sent chills through every being present. A massive fleet of obsidian ships, each one bristling with weapons, emerged from the shadows of a dying star. At their center loomed a vessel the size of a small moon, its surface writhing with tendrils of dark energy. A figure appeared on the screen, a being of pure darkness, its form constantly shifting and roiling. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "People of the Confederation," it hissed, "your time of peace and prosperity is at an end. We are the Void Reapers, and we have returned to claim what is ours. Surrender, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will consume your worlds one by one, until nothing remains but ash and shadow." The transmission cut off, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Zixtal was the first to speak, their voice trembling. We must mobilize our defenses. Call upon every member world to contribute to the war effort." Sarah stood, her face a mask of determination. "Earth stands with the Confederation. We'll do whatever we can to help." As the council erupted into frantic discussion, Sarah slipped away, making her way to a secure communication room. She activated the quantum entanglement device, a technology Earth had reverse-engineered from Confederation designs, and connected directly to the hidden war room back on her homeworld. President Rodriguez's hologram appeared, her expression grim. "We saw the transmission, Ambassador. It seems our worst fears have been realized." Sarah nodded. "The Void Reapers are real, and they're more powerful than anything the Confederation has ever faced. They're going to ask for our help, but they have no idea what we're truly capable of." Rodriguez finished. "This is the moment we've been preparing for, Sarah. Operation Sleeping Giant is about to wake up." Over the next few weeks, the galaxy descended into chaos. The Void Reapers tore through the outer systems, their advanced technology and ruthless tactics overwhelming the Confederation's defenses. Refugees flooded the core worlds, bringing tales of horror and destruction. Earth, true to its reputation, opened its arms to those fleeing the conflict. As ships full of displaced aliens entered the Sol system, they were greeted by the sight of massive orbital stations and a substantial defense fleet, all ostensibly constructed to protect the refugees and maintain peace. In reality, these were the first visible signs of humanity's hidden military might. Each station was a fortress, bristling with weapons far beyond Confederation standards. The defense fleet, while impressive, was merely a fraction of Earth's true naval power. As the Void Reavers pressed deeper into Confederation space, the High Council grew increasingly desperate. Their forces were outmatched, their strategies ineffective against an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. In a late-night emergency session, Zixtal turned to Sarah, desperation evident in their voice. "Ambassador Chen, we need Earth's help more than ever. Your people's talent for peace and diplomacy. Perhaps you can negotiate with the Void Reapers. Find a solution that doesn't end in our annihilation." Sarah met Zixtal's gaze, a flicker of something unreadable passing behind her eyes. "Supreme Counselor," she said slowly, "I'm afraid diplomacy won't be enough this time. But don't worry. Earth is prepared to help in ways you haven't yet imagined." As Sarah left the chamber to contact Earth, she couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and dread. The mask of the peacekeeper was about to fall away, and the galaxy would finally see the true face of humanity. The sleeping giant was about to awaken, and the Void Reapers would soon learn why humans had worked so hard to avoid war, not out of fear, but out of mercy for their opponents. The Galactic Confederation's capital world, Nexus Prime, was in a state of panic. The Void Reapers had breached the inner defensive lines, and reports of their atrocities flooded in from fallen worlds. The High Council chamber, once a place of measured debate and cosmic diplomacy, had become a war room. Zixtal stood at the center, their usually immaculate appearance now haggard from sleepless cycles. "The Croax fleet has fallen," they announced, their voice hollow. "The Voltarian system is under siege. We've lost contact with the Zephyrian collective." Each statement was punctuated by the disappearance of another point of light on the galactic map. The assembled representatives of 100 worlds watched in horror as their civilization crumbled before their eyes. It was in this moment of despair that all heads turned to the human delegation. Sarah Chen rose, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos around her. "Members of the High Council," she began, her voice steady and resolute, "Earth has heard your call for help. We stand ready to assist the Confederation in its hour of need." A ripple of hope passed through the chamber. Gloop's tentacles waved in excitement. "Will you negotiate with the Void Reapers? Perhaps your diplomatic skills can succeed where our weapons have failed." Sarah's expression hardened almost imperceptibly. "I'm afraid, friends, that the time for negotiation has passed. Earth is prepared to offer military assistance." A murmur of confusion swept through the room. Zixtal blinked rapidly, their crest rippling with bewilderment. "Military assistance? But Earth has no significant armed forces. Your species is dedicated to peace." "A misconception we've allowed to persist," Sarah replied, her tone neutral. "Earth has maintained a defensive capability that we've kept hidden. We believed it was in the best interest of galactic peace." The chamber erupted into chaos. Accusations of deception mingled with desperate pleas for help. Zixtal raised their arms, calling for order. "Ambassador Chen," they said, once the noise had died down, "why have you hidden this from us? We thought Earth was our most trustworthy ally." Sarah's gaze swept the room, meeting the eyes of each council member. "We are your allies, but we also understand that peace must sometimes be protected by the threat of force. Earth has a long history of warfare, one we're not proud of. We chose to present ourselves as peacekeepers to avoid suspicion and conflict. But now, faced with the threat of the Void Reapers, we offer our true strength to defend the Confederation." The council chamber fell silent as the implications of Sarah's words sank in. It was Gloop who finally broke the silence. How significant is this defensive capability you speak of?" Sarah activated her personal holographic projector. The image of a massive fleet appeared, dwarfing anything the Confederation had mustered, capital ships bristling with advanced weaponry. Sleek fighters and vessels of designs completely alien to the council members filled the display. "This," Sarah said, "is the Earth Defense Force, a fleet more than capable of meeting the Void Reapers head-on. We have technologies that match or exceed those of our enemy. Most importantly, we have experience in total war that the Confederation lacks." Sixtel stared at the display, their 4 eyes wide with a mixture of awe and fear. "All this time, you could have conquered us all." Sarah shook her head. "That was never our intention. We sought only to protect ourselves, and, if necessary, our allies. Now we offer this strength to you. Will the Confederation accept Earth's help?" The council erupted into furious debate. Some were outraged at the deception. Others were simply grateful for any hope against the Void Reapers. As the arguments raged, Sarah stood silent, watching. Finally, Sixtel called for a vote. One by one, the representatives of each world cast their lot. The result was nearly unanimous. Sixtel turned to Sarah, their voice solemn. "The Galactic Confederation formally requests Earth's military assistance against the threat of the Void Reapers. May the stars have mercy on us all." Sarah nodded, activating her quantum communicator. "President Rodriguez, the Confederation has accepted our offer. Operation Sleeping Giant is now active." As she spoke those words, across the galaxy, hidden shipyards burst into activity. Stealth fields dropped, revealing armadas that had been concealed in plain sight. On Earth, deep underground bunkers opened, and soldiers who had trained in secret for this very day emerged, ready for battle. The sleeping giant was awake, and the Void Reapers were about to face an enemy unlike any they had ever encountered. The galaxy held its breath as the Earth Defense Force made its move. Massive carriers dropped out of hyperspace at strategic points along the Void Reaper invasion corridors. Each carrier disgorged swarms of fighters and corvettes, their designs sleek and predatory, unlike anything the Confederation had ever seen. On the bridge of the EDF flagship Thermopylae, Admiral Helena Frost stood tall, her steely gaze fixed on the tactical display. "All ships, this is Admiral Frost. Operation Leonidas is now in effect. Weapons free. Show these Void Reapers why humanity has avoided war for so long." The human fleet engaged the enemy with a ferocity that shocked both their allies and their foes. Plasma lances sliced through Void Reaper ships, while point defense systems swatted incoming projectiles from the sky with pinpoint accuracy. Human fighters danced between enemy vessels, their pilots executing maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics. On Nexus Prime, the High Council watched the battle unfold with a mixture of awe and terror. Sixtel turned to Sarah, their voice barely a whisper. "By the cosmic winds, what have we unleashed?" Sarah's eyes never left the tactical display. "This, Counselor, is why we fear war. Not because we are weak, but because we know the devastation we can unleash." As the battle raged, the true extent of human military prowess became apparent. Void Reaper ships found their systems hijacked by advanced AI viruses, turning their weapons against each other. Stealth bombers slipped past enemy lines, delivering payloads that cracked planet-sized vessels like eggs. And through it all, the human soldiers fought with a determination and skill born from millennia of conflict. On the Void Reaper command ship, the shadowy leader of the invasion force watched in disbelief as its fleet was systematically dismantled. "Impossible," it hissed, its form roiling with fury. "These humans, they are not the peaceful weaklings we were led to believe." The tide of the war shifted dramatically. Systems that had been on the brink of falling now stood firm, bolstered by human reinforcements. The Void Reapers, for the first time in their long history of conquest, found themselves on the defensive. But the human victory came at a cost. The galaxy witnessed the full extent of humanity's capacity for violence. Planets occupied by the Void Reapers were subjected to orbital bombardments that left them scared and barren. Captured Void Reaper soldiers faced interrogation techniques that made even hardened Confederation specialists blanch. As news of these actions spread, the attitude of the Confederation towards their human allies began to shift. Gratitude became tinged with fear, admiration mixed with apprehension. In a secure briefing room on Nexus Prime, Zixtal confronted Sarah. "Ambassador, while we're grateful for Earth's intervention, some of your military's actions are causing concern among our members." Sarah met Zixtal's gaze unflinchingly. "We understand your concerns, Counselor. But this is the reality of total war. The Void Reapers threaten not just our civilization, but our very existence. We're doing what's necessary to ensure our survival. But the devastation," Zixtal began, "is regrettable." Sarah finished. "But consider the alternative. How many worlds would the Void Reapers have consumed if we hadn't intervened? Sometimes, Counselor, peace can only be achieved through overwhelming force." As the war progressed, humanity's influence in the galaxy grew exponentially. Earth ships now patrolled trade routes, human military advisors were stationed on key worlds, and Earth's advanced technology was integrated into Confederation defense systems. The Void Reapers, their invasion faltering, made a desperate push towards Earth itself, hoping to cut off the head of their newfound enemy. It was a mistake that would seal their fate. The Sol system erupted into a maelstrom of violence as the full might of Earth's home defense grid was unleashed. Orbital platforms rained down hellfire, while hidden antimatter mines turned entire Void Reaper battle groups into expanding clouds of plasma. Admiral Frost's voice crackled over the comms of every human ship. "This is our home, the cradle of our civilization, and we will defend it to our last breath. For Earth, for humanity." The battle for Sol became the stuff of legend, a demonstration of martial prowess that would be studied for generations to come. When the dust settled, the Void Reaper fleet was no more than scattered debris floating in space. As news of the victory spread, the galaxy collectively exhaled. The war was over. The Void Reapers were defeated. But as the Confederation looked to its human saviors, a new question arose. What would this awakened giant do next? In the wake of humanity's decisive victory over the Void Reapers, an uneasy peace settled over the galaxy. The Confederation worlds celebrated their salvation, but an undercurrent of tension ran beneath the jubilation. Humanity, once seen as a beacon of peaceful coexistence, had revealed itself as a sleeping giant of unparalleled military might. On Nexus Prime, the High Council convened for what would become a historic session. Representatives from every Confederation world gathered, their expressions a mix of gratitude and apprehension. At the center of attention stood Sarah Chen, Earth's ambassador, her posture relaxed but her eyes alert. Zixtal, still Supreme Counselor despite the toll of war evident in their weary features, called the session to order. "Esteemed colleagues," they began, their voice echoing through the Grand Chamber, "we gather today to address the new galactic order in the wake of the Void Reaper threat." A murmur rippled through the assembly. Gloop, the intelligence chief, raised a tentacle. "While we owe our continued existence to Earth's intervention, we cannot ignore the implications of their hidden strength. How can we trust a species that has deceived us for so long?" Sarah stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Trust is earned, not given. Earth understands your concerns. We kept our true nature hidden not out of malice, but out of a desire for peace. We have seen the ravages of war on our own world and sought to spare the galaxy that pain." "And yet," countered a Croax representative, his armor still bearing scars from recent battles, "when war came, you unleashed devastation unlike anything we've ever witnessed. Entire systems lay in ruins." "Systems that would have been consumed entirely by the Void Reapers," Sarah replied. "We took no pleasure in the destruction, but we did what was necessary to ensure the survival of not just humanity, but all sentient life in the Confederation." The debate raged for hours. Some council members argued for sanctions against Earth, fearing the potential for human dominance. Others advocated for closer ties, seeing humanity as the best defense against future threats. As the arguments circled, A young representative from a world that had nearly fallen to the Void Reapers stood up. "We speak of trust and fear," she said, her voice quavering but growing stronger. "But we forget gratitude. My people still live because humans were willing to shed blood on our behalf. Yes, they are powerful. Yes, they kept secrets. But when extinction loomed, they stood with us." Her words seemed to shift the mood of the chamber. Zixtal seized the moment. "Perhaps," they suggested, "we should view this not as an ending, but as a new beginning. A chance to forge a deeper understanding between all our peoples." Sarah nodded, a hint of relief in her eyes. Earth is prepared to open itself fully to the Confederation. Our technology, our knowledge, our resources, all can be shared for the betterment of all species. But in return, we ask for acceptance, not as the peaceful facade we once presented, but as we truly are. A complex species capable of both great compassion and terrible fury. The council debated long into the night. When the final vote came, it was close. But the decision was made. Earth would retain its place in the Confederation, but with new conditions. A joint military command would be established, integrating human forces with those of other species. Earth would share its advanced technology, but under strict oversight. And a new Galactic Truth and Reconciliation Commission would be formed to fully uncover the extent of human activities during their years of hiding. As the council session adjourned, Sarah found herself approached by Zixtal. The Supreme Counselor's expression was unreadable. "Ambassador," they said softly, "I hope you understand the great responsibility that now rests on your people's shoulders. The galaxy will be watching." Sarah met Zixtal's gaze steadily. "We understand, Counselor. Humanity has walked the razor's edge between peace and war for millennia. We're prepared for the challenges ahead." As she turned to leave, Sarah's comm unit beeped. A message from Earth High Command. Phase 1 complete. Proceed with integration protocol. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The giant was awake, and the true work of reshaping the galaxy was just beginning. 5 years after the defeat of the Void Reapers, the galaxy had undergone a profound transformation. The integration of human technology and knowledge into Confederation society had sparked an unprecedented era of progress and innovation. Faster than light travel became more efficient, medical breakthroughs extended lifespans across species, and terraforming techniques allowed for the rehabilitation of worlds scarred by war. Yet beneath this veneer of advancement, tensions simmered. Some species embraced the new order, eager to learn from humanity's vast experience. Others viewed the humans with suspicion, fearing that this was merely the prelude to a more subtle form of conquest. On the newly established neutral world of Harmony, dignitaries from across the Confederation gathered for the 5th Annual Galactic Cooperation Summit. The planet's lush, terraformed landscape stood as a testament to what could be achieved through collaboration. Sarah Chen, now serving as Earth's Secretary of Galactic Affairs, stood at the podium, addressing the assembled representatives. 5 years ago, we stood at a crossroads, she began, her voice carrying across the amphitheater. We faced extinction at the hands of the Void Reapers, and in our darkest hour, we found strength in unity. Today, we continue to build on that foundation. As Sarah spoke, holographic displays showcased the achievements of the past 5 years. Joint human-alien scientific expeditions, cultural exchange programs, and collaborative defense initiatives. The images were a powerful reminder of how far they had come. But not everyone was convinced. Kexnar, a representative from a species that had been skeptical of human intentions from the start, rose to speak. "Pretty words and prettier pictures," he growled, mandibles clicking in agitation. "But they don't erase the fact that humans lied to us for years. How do we know this isn't just another deception?" Murmurs of agreement rippled through portions of the crowd. Sarah remained calm, having anticipated this line of questioning. Deception? No. Caution? Yes. Humanity's history is filled with conflict, and we feared that revealing our true nature might spark unnecessary wars. We chose to lead by example, showing that peace was possible. And yet, Kexnar pressed, when war came, you were all too ready for it. We were ready, Sarah conceded, because we understood the price of unpreparedness. Our ancestors fought countless wars among themselves before realizing the futility of conflict. We armed ourselves not out of a desire for combat, but out of a deep-seated need to protect what we hold dear. Zixtal, who had stepped down as Supreme Counselor but remained a respected voice in galactic affairs, stood up. If I may, they interjected, I believe we're overlooking a crucial point. The humans could have conquered us at any time. They possessed the technology and the martial skill. Instead, they chose cooperation. Isn't that the truest test of character? The assembly fell silent, contemplating Zixtal's words. It was Gloop who broke the silence, their tentacles waving thoughtfully. Perhaps, the intelligence chief mused, we have been asking the wrong questions. Instead of dwelling on past deceits, should we not focus on the future we can build together? Sarah seized the moment. Exactly, she said, her voice filled with passion. We stand at the threshold of a new age, an age where the strengths of all our species can be combined to face whatever challenges the universe may throw at us. Humanity doesn't seek to dominate, but to elevate, to help forge a galactic community that can weather any storm. As the debate continued, a shift in the atmosphere became palpable. Old grievances began to give way to cautious optimism. Species that had been at odds found common ground in their shared experiences and aspirations. By the summit's end, a new accord was reached. The Galactic Confederation would be restructured into the United Galactic Alliance, with Earth taking a prominent but not dominant role in its leadership. A comprehensive technology sharing program would be implemented, coupled with safeguards to prevent any single species from gaining too much power. As the delegates filed out of the amphitheater, Sarah found herself approached by Kexnar. The alien's expression was unreadable, but his tone was less hostile than before. Your words are impressive, human, he said. I hope your actions continue to match them. Sarah nodded solemnly. As do I, she replied. The path ahead won't be easy, but I believe it's one worth walking together. As the sun set on Harmony, casting a golden glow over the assembled ships preparing to depart, there was a sense of cautious hope in the air. The galaxy had seen the true face of humanity, complex, powerful, and ultimately driven by a deep-seated desire for peace. The age of deception was over. The age of true understanding had begun.